Uh, Hello, I'm Jerry Lefebvre.
I'm Nicole Ferrioli.
And I'm Rose Sanis, and we'd like to welcome you to our final case study presentation on Celeritas Inc. Leadership Challenges in a Fast Growth Industry.
During this presentation, we will be discussing the causes of the problems, the 4 issues, and recommended actions. Celeritas is a leading firm in the enterprise network optimization industry and has grown rapidly within the past few years. As a result of this growth, the organizational structure and leadership among the organization are facing really big challenges. The CEO, Philip Boyer, has made the decision to bring aboard an organizational consultant, Clara Reese, in an attempt to fix these core issues. He has recognized leadership issues among the company and has to address them if he wants to be successful. The growth has slowed, and cloud technology space things are extremely fast-moving and innovative. Their lack of communication in the company and how the company aligns with its goals is an issue. So, Philip Boyer is a sole decision maker, but is looking to have a strong team stand beside him to facilitate growth. So, these are the 4 causes of the problem. The first one is lack of trust and communication among executive management team, inconsistent decision-making, confusion about goal and priorities, and poor coordination among divisions.
So the first is lack of trust and communication among executive team management members. CEO Boyer, the owner, fails to realize the lack of proper communication and is beyond just simple conversation. A lot of his employees are very disgruntled with each other and just don't trust each other, and as a result, their communication has also been falling. In fact, one of his senior vice presidents even goes as far to say that it's difficult to communicate with someone easily angered when he was referencing someone else he works with. The second issue would be inconsistent decision making. The team expressed worries about the utilization of weekly meetings to discuss important topics rather than the usual agenda that has no purpose or meaning. There's a lot of strategic decisions about important things like new products need to be discussed and made as a team. So these quick quotes or paraphrasing that I've made is basically just discussing how in the current office climate, just different SVPs will go up one-on-one with Boyer and they'll ask for something. However, this kind of decision doesn't get communicated to the rest of the team, and one team may think they're doing something while the other team is actually in charge of it, and just the inconsistency in who's doing what is really bringing the company down. Thirdly, confusion about goals and priorities is a huge issue. All of the SVPs essentially felt that the goals and priorities of each of the members were unclear and that there was room for Boyer to improve for the better of the company. Unfortunately, Boyer expressed his thoughts that goals and priorities were being properly communicated through their mission statement and other activities he does with the company. However, the majority came to the conclusion that Boyer needs to do more in order for their team to be able to properly utilize their resources and boost the company's production. And lastly, poor coordination among divisions is a huge issue for the company. As we mentioned earlier with trust and communications, the relationships between not only the team managers or the head team managers has deteriorated, but also the people who are working below them in their divisions. They're not going to be so confident in their leaders if their leaders are constantly being undermined. And because of that, just cooperation between the divisions has just essentially come to a complete stop. And there's just a lot of lack in trust between the divisions. However, it is important to note that it seems that most of the blame has been put on the sales and their SVP in charge, Dave Lloyd.
So as Jerry just discussed, these issues are definitely affecting the organization in more ways than just one, and it is crucial that Boyer addresses them as quickly as possible. Therefore, our first recommended action for Boyer is to redesign the weekly executive meetings. Many of the employees did state that these meetings were not effectively used, and they never really addressed important topics that they felt were crucial for the organization to be successful. So at the end of each week, the senior vice president should be given the opportunity to address any topics for discussion in the following week's meetings. And then Boyer should then be responsible for creating a meeting agenda and provide each attendee with the necessary information to be successful. Just kind of restructuring the design of the weekly executive meetings will be beneficial. While those changes to the executive meetings will be beneficial, the team building meetings and activities are a further recommendation that Boyer can implement into the organization. It has been stated that the 5 senior vice presidents do lack trust, and implementing these monthly team building and bonding meetings will kind of create a collaborative environment where team members can become inspired and build trust between one another. Essentially, this is just going to build an overall better community at the organization. And a great example of this might just be something as simple as a scavenger hunt or a day trip for the senior vice presidents as well as the vice presidents. To even further the team building initiative, Boyer should implement a semi-annual trip, such as a conference or a retreat. These would allow employees to build more meaningful relationships with one another and even further their success within the workplace. Our 4th recommendation for Boyer is a simple yet really effective tool for many organizations. Many of the vice presidents did feel that their input was being neglected. So providing something like a suggestion box for employees to submit any suggestions, comments, and complaints will kind of open up the communication among all divisions and all employees, no matter whether they're senior vice presidents or vice presidents. These can be anonymous to kind of protect one another and have honest and open communication. And they'll be reviewed on a bi-weekly basis where the senior vice presidents as well as Boyer will kind of make that decision whether further action needs to be made. Then these will be communicated fully to all employees so they are aware that actions are being taken. So unfortunately, Boyer has been known for being a poor leader, and we recommend that he attends leadership and management training to become a better CEO overall. He should also be communicating this training to all of his staff to kind of reassure them of his growth and make sure that they are aware that he is working towards a better change.
The employees have found other SVPs are just as bad as Boyer, and there's a disconnect in leadership. So as a recommendation, we feel that all the SVPs and the VPs need to attend leadership and management training so they can become educated on the methods of leading a group. And this is also important because this also encourages employees because it shows effort for active change. Another recommendation, we would like to take 3 business days to make suggestions, comments, and complaints towards change. This will help communication, which there is definitely a lack of. It also helps continue to take these comments, good and bad, and find solutions for them to continue towards success. This done correctly will make employees happy because their voices are being heard.
So another recommended action that our team came up with is for reevaluate their abilities of current staff. Yearly evaluations, semi-annual evaluations, or even just a reevaluation of the hiring process is a good way of doing this. Currently, right now, a lot of the issues that the company is experiencing is a lot to do with chemistry and team building. So if you can reevaluate what goes into building the proper group, that may help alleviate some of the issues that the company has experienced. In addition, company growth means that they have to constantly be thinking on their feet and that the team is just taking on more responsibilities. Well, while they might be adding more people in the bottom levels of the business, it may be worth adding an additional staff member to the upper levels, such as an assistant directly responsible to Boyer. She or he could represent a second opinion and assistance in some kind of decision making, or just encourage collaboration among other team members that Boyer doesn't necessarily won't have to make himself.
So we'd like to thank you all so much for listening to our presentation and recommendations for stellar